Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Hito here, and I will be telling you some of people's confusing weird stories and encounters that left them baffled, so they shared online. If you have some that happened to yourself, feel free to share in the comments section for a chance to be featured in some of the next videos. And thank you for listening, liking, and sharing. Let's start. Story 1. In 1996, I had just dropped out of university and was moving home to my parents' place. My tail was firmly between my legs, I had almost no money and no job prospects. Basically, I was screwed. I had an old Jeep Comanche with all my belongings in the back and 200 miles to go. I borrowed $20 from a friend for gas and started the trip. I got to a point that was 30 miles from home and was on empty. I pulled into a gas station and sort of cried for a minute in my truck. I needed $5 for gas to make it the rest of the way, and had nothing. There was no way I could call my dad and ask for help. He was already so disappointed. After a minute, I started searching around my truck for change, anything. I opened the glove box, and there were these paper loyalty bucks for a gas station that I never used. It turns out it was the exact gas station that I was stopped at. $4.70 worth of bucks. I found another $2 in change, put $6 in the gas tank, and bought a Coke. I made it home. Fast forward 20 years, I had sorted my crap out and am a lawyer. That gas station hired me as their outside counsel. I got to tell this story to the president of the company. Story 2. I'm too young to remember this actually, but my mom always tells this story. Apparently when I was younger, like barely able to speak, I was sitting on the floor, playing with some toys nonchalantly with my mom, when I just said, "When I was in heaven, I met a woman who said you'd be the perfect mommy for me." I apparently held the belief that I was in heaven before being born, and an angel looked at me and chose the mom I went to. My mom asked me to describe the woman, and I apparently described my mom's great-grandmother perfectly, down to the eye color. I had never met my great-great-grandmother, nor seen a picture of her. Story 3. As a child visiting my grandma's house, my mum's mum, whenever I left the house, I'd wave next door to Ken, who was always sat in the bay window, looking out at the sea. They lived right on the coast off the North Sea in Hartlepool, UK. We'd never really talk, but just a little wave before I went to get into the car. One time, I'm leaving my gran's house. I'm in front of my mum, who stopped at the door to talk to my gran. So, I head down the steps and towards the gate. I turn back and see Ken in the window. Big smile as usual, waving at me. I give him a wave back. He stands up, gives me the thumbs up, and wanders towards the back of the room. My mum comes walking down the steps and asks, "Who are you waving at?" I replied, "Ken." To this day, I can remember my mum's face. She just went white, but didn't say anything to me. It was only a few weeks later when she plucked up the courage to tell me that Ken had died, a few days prior to our visit to my gran's. I don't believe in ghosts, but I know I saw him. I can still picture his striped gray sweater with light stripes across it, him waving and getting up out of his chair. There was no one else in the house. He lived by himself. Brains are weird. Story 4. When I was about 12 years old, I went up to Lake Tahoe with my friend and his parents, who had a condo in Incline Village. One day, the two of us are walking to the bowling alley and cross a street in a crosswalk. Right before we get to the curb, a car comes really close to hitting us. All of a sudden, we're both up on the curb, like we were lifted a few feet. We both looked at each other strangely. "Did you jump?" "No." "Did you?" "No." We spent the next hour kind of dumbfounded. It didn't feel like a shove or any use of force. We were still in the street, then we weren't. Story 5. When I was in college, a drunk dude fell from a third-floor balcony and got up and walked away like it was nothing. Seriously, one of the weirdest, freakish things I've ever seen in my life. Edit, for those asking, University of Southern California, circa 2009.